a steal. Let's talk about this. Europe's biggest bank, it is HSBC, says it's going to keep its headquarters right here in London, saying no to a move to Hong Kong. Now, behind this, well, it launched a review into moving elsewhere, with Hong Kong as the most likely alternative after concerns about, stricter UK banking regulations. Got a familiar face in the house, Chris Roebuck, who's joining us here, but a visiting professor at Cass Business School, and you used to work for the bank we're in question for some time. Chris, good to see you. Yeah. I'm wondering, I've been reading the comments, some people saying, no surprises, HSBC has decided to stay in London. Does this just highlight that London, you can't beat it in terms of it is a globally connected financial hub?
If you look at its most basic level, the answer is yes, because London has got either the headquarters of every global bank or their second largest office. So there is a commercial reason to be in London related to time zones, to control, to stability, etc.
Yeah. Does this also, this decision, even though it came as perhaps no surprise, does it also tell us something about Hong Kong? I mean, there are some concerns about Hong Kong's regulatory environment and the fact that you've got quite a few people here, big wigs disappearing off the streets.
The whole point about, if you want to do business as a bank, you want somewhere stable to do it so you know what the rules of the game are. HSBC also is a large conservative bank. Historically, they came from Hong Kong, but conservative with a small c. Therefore, they definitely want stability. And what's been going on in Hong Kong in terms of economically, in terms of socially, and in terms of politically would suggest to them that Hong Kong is not quite as stable as it was foreseen to be at the original handover, and that might be posing questions in their mind.
Yeah. Ironic, isn't it? Considering it's called the Hong Kong Shanghai Banking Corporation, right?
Well, we weren't going to say that. But
no, I'll say it. I'm just letting you know what HSBC stands for.
Indeed.
You know, we've had a lot of arguments and debate from the banks post the crisis and the banking crisis, where we've seen new regulation, tougher regulation introduced. And during this time, and even when there's a government threat of another particular tough piece of regulation, the banks go, oh, well, you do that, we're out. We're going to move. We're going to take our business elsewhere. Does this just highlight that that is all hot air? No bank in their right mind and cost matters would move out of London.
Well, you're absolutely right. It's a cost-benefit analysis. So what the banks are saying is, yes, OK, we might be paying a bit more tax, but the downside is if we go elsewhere, the costs are. And let's look at this not just from the purely financial perspective. Let's look at this from the leadership perspective, the people perspective. You're the chief executive of HSBC, and what you are effectively going to do is you're going to ask senior people to move their wives, their children, their families, with all the issues around education and schooling and all the rest of it, over to the other side of the world. You're going to have a pretty compelling reason to do that, because otherwise your best people could say, actually, I prefer London, I'm not going to Hong Kong, I'm going to walk out your door and go and work for a competitor.
Yeah, OK. Chris, we're going to have to leave it there, I'm being told, time-wise, but also probably good news for the UK economy in some way.
Indeed.
Right? Yeah. Hey, Chris Roebuck joining us there. Thank you very much, mate. OK, let me just leave you with a couple of other stories making headlines.